Pets. I have one. Here she is. Very cute, but doesn't give any magic find. F tier. Anyways, there's a lot of pets in Skyblock, and more importantly, a lot of bad ones to clown on. I'm gonna be honest, kinda sick of the tier list looking like a stupid genie pot. So back to normal you go. Okay, what the fuck is a tier sphere 3000? There's 7 different pet categories. Beginning with mining pets, the silverfish pet is alright. Each skill has a pet like this, boosting the skill XP by up to 30% depending on the rarity. But the silverfish also gives haste free, which is very useful for cheesing the free secret trap. B tier. The armadillo has 5 perks at legendary rarity, with each consequent one somehow being worse than the one before. Although it did have a brief time in the spotlight where armadillo gemstone mining was absurdly broken. D tier, because it's very cheap at lower rarities. The bat pet is probably good for spooky events? Not for fishing though, the extra buffs the mythic one has aren't even close to enough. C tier. The endermite just might be the worst thing ever. Once upon a time it was useful when grinding zealots because your inventory would fill up with ender pearls. But then they added the personal compactor and sacks, so you know. The mithril golem is cheap and great for mithril mining early on. The legendary rarity also makes it the best damage pet for killing ghosts, which is still a pretty solid way of making money. B tier. Ah yes, The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is an American actor, businessman, and former professional wrestler. But sadly his Skyblock pet is just a funny chair. D tier because haha, and maybe you actually use it in early game due to the defense it gives. Actually I'm bumping it up to C tier because of these amazing skins. No wait, B tier because you get it for free and can sell it to George for big dollar. Okay, no wait, A tier because it wants you to subscribe to my channel. And it also wants you to like my video? Wow, this is the best pet ever. Anyhow, moving on. The Skatha used to be the most expensive pet in all of Skyblock for quite a while, but then the admins said no. It's good, but you can't convince me it's worth the still absurd price tag. C tier. The final mining pet is the Wither Skeleton, giving all around solid offensive stats and great abilities, especially against Wither enemies. It's outclassed by a few other damage pets, but it's cheap and has a very good niche against the floor 7's Wither Lords. A tier. Uh-oh, do you hear that? New pet alert! The snail pet is being added alongside the Nether update and seems to be a great mining pet. The 50 mining fortune is amazing, but what's really interesting is the slow mining ability. Pretty sure this is just meant for stuff like mycelium, but gemstones are technically not ores either, so maybe it'll work on them too. Probably not though. Since it seems like it'll be cheap, I'll slide him into the B tier. Combat pets. There's a lot of them, and a good amount of them are so down bad that I refuse to even spend time talking about them. Anyways, Black Cat time. It has 2 main uses, the first being speed, which is very valuable in dungeons since god pots are disabled in there. And the second is Magic Find, which is immensely useful for pretty much every mob with good drops ever. Oh yeah, and it also gives you pet luck if you really want to gamble your money away. S tier. The Blaze is probably the only pet in the game with all of its perks being incredibly good. A 10% stat boost is whatever in the current Blazing Fortress, because the most productive thing you can do there currently is admire the sunset. But as soon as the Nether update rolls around, it'll be by far the best combat pet for it. The Blaze armor stat boost is also very impactful, and makes Frozen Blaze a tremendously powerful DPS set in dungeons, only rivaled by Necron armor. TLDR, the Blaze is very much cash money. The Ghoul pet is not though. This thing hasn't been updated since before necromancy was a thing. All I can say is that the Ghoul pet is definitely one of the pets of all time. The Enderman is kind of a scam. Don't get me wrong, almost everything about it is great. The crit damage it gives is very useful for early game players, it's great for late to end game players doing Enderman Slayer, and it's also good for mid game players grinding zealots. Except it's not, because this ability is bugged.
Uh-oh.
B tier. The Grandma Wolf isn't as much of a pet as it is a permanent boost. Into the great, but no point in having it equipped tier she goes. The Griffin used to be one of the best combat pets, but the strength nerf really hit it hard. Nowadays it's still alright, and an uncommon griffin is probably the best early game pet, but pretty much no one will ever use the legendary version outside the event it's designed for. B tier, because the event is a good way to make money. The hound used to be completely broken. Literally, in one of the greatest coding mysteries of all time, it was somehow bugged to double all head drops, which included sludge juice. So for a time it was very good for sludge juice farming. And then it got patched. Jerry. Don't worry guys, the Jerry pet can't hurt you. It doesn't exist.
Anymore.
Being by far the single rarest drop in the entire game, the Phoenix is more of a measure of whether you should enter the lottery rather than anything else. Its only useful perk is the first one, which is in general outdone by a literal clown mask. Wait, not that general. No, not again, bro! The rat pet is funny, because with it, you too can now cosplay your favorite content creators. But it's obviously a meme rather than anything else. Do let me know in the comments if you've ever leached a good drop with this perk though. The Ender Dragon though, oh man, the most expensive pet in the game, and for good reason. Due to the multiplicative nature of Skyblock stats, increasing your stats by 10% is much better than just 10% more damage and 10% more EHP. This makes it one of the best combat pets in the game, only rivaled by the Blaze and another pet that I'll get to soon. Easy S tier. Oh yeah, speaking of that other pet, the Golden Dragon is a nice alternative to the Ender Dragon. Giving a ton of strength, damage and magic find is by far the best pet for pure damage. But remember when I said that the Ender Dragon is the most expensive pet? Well, I kinda lied. While the lowest bin for an Ender Dragon is higher, the Golden Dragon goes up to level 200, which requires a ton of time to level up, and as such, a max level Golden Dragon is almost twice as expensive as a level 1 is. Definitely still S tier though. Okay, back to funny poo poo. The skeleton pet seems like it'd be good, but sadly this damage boost is additive, so it just ends up being bad. Although maybe it's decent for mid-game archers. D tier. The snowman pet is one of the infamous AFK pets, and with the exception of this gentleman, I've begun to despise AFKers ever since I started playing Iron Man. It's also way too expensive for what it does. F tier. The spirit pet, a globally recognized synonym for evil. I hate the spirit pet with every fiber of my being. The Half-Life perk is great, but the first perk is a complete lie. Assists you when you're a ghost? No, it does not. The only thing it does is equip itself when you disconnect from a dungeon and ignores all auto pet rules afterwards. I do still use it though, but that won't stop me from putting it in the poopy dookie tier. The wolf pet is great for slayers, since those are so reliant on combat XP. A tier. And the tarantula pet is just a better wolf pet, but only for spider slayer. D tier. Because like, who cares about spider slayer? The tiger used to be a very good pet for berserkers because of the ferocity it gave, but the recent nerf hurt it a lot. Although I'm assuming it'll be very compatible with some of the items in the Nether update. For now it's a bit underwhelming though. The turtle was recently buffed, and it's still pretty bad. It offers similar EHP to the blue whale, but does worse against true damage and is more expensive. So rip turtle. And the ball pet is just a mining pet in disguise. It's great for gemstone mining in the magma fields, since the stat boost includes mining stats. And it's also sadly useful for AFKing goblins and ice walkers, similar to how the snowman is. A tier. The next few pets are pretty boring, so I'll speedrun them a bit. The rabbit, ocelot and squid pets all do the same thing. Boost their respective skill XP gain by 30%. Although squid's by far the most useful, since fishing level actually matters. The bee pet is a meme, but it does have some use as your first pet on Stranded because it's pretty cheap. D tier. The elephant pet gives a ton of farming fortune, so of course it's great for farming, but that's all it does. Also, Stomb. A tier. The lion's cool, but is sadly pretty much entirely outclassed by the tiger as far as I know. The monkey though. The monkey's great because it's a monkey. It's also good if you really want to suffer and level up foraging, but the only reason I'm putting it in the C tier is because it's a monkey. And I like monkeys. The pig pet is very bad. And the most notable thing about it is that half of them are currently owned by Technoblade. Oh, and the chicken and giraffe pets are also here, I guess. Moving on to more interesting pets, the Megalodon is not awful per se, but sadly just pales in comparison to other damaged pets due to the tough competition. The Ammonite is obtained by cooking a fossil in a big oven at 200 degrees for 12 days, and is by far the best pet for fishing. But it does rely on you having decent heart of the mountain and mining levels, so if you don't have those, then use a dolphin instead. A and C tier for these two fellas respectively. For some reason, the two best defensive pets are both fishing pets. The Baby Yeti is great for berserkers and archers with a ton of strength, while the Blue Whale is the preferred choice for tanks and mages having trouble with staying alive. S tier for both. The Flying Fish exists. It's not good though. In tragic news, the new official Skyblock wiki is already incorrect, because here it says enchanting pets, but I can only see one. Seriously though, how is there only one enchanting pet after all this time? Funniest part is that the Guardian used to be a combat pet as well. Anyways, it's just as good as the other skill XP boost pets. Also, mine has way too much XP. Lastly, Alchemy pets. The jellyfish is actually really good if you use dungeon potions. This is its only use, but it's very impactful. B tier. The parrot is there to boost your god potion and is going next to Grandma Wolf because you don't need it equipped. Although this one you can definitely go without. And finally, the sheep is a very good pet for mages, being cheap and giving all kinds of useful abilities. A tier. That's it. Oh, and I'm giving away a bunch of pets in my Discord. Link in the description. I'll be leaving now.